Hello and welcome to I Talk to Ghosts. I'm your haunted host, Jennifer, a spirit medium and a collector of all the weird, spooky tales I can find. Normally, I like to gather my ghost stories into some sort of theme because it's fun and it's spooky and interesting. And I have done that tonight, but I'm not going to tell you what the theme is. If you happen to guess it, reach out and let me know. There is also a new in-studio spirit reading tonight that I'll be sharing with you, and then gather around the seance table with me for a message from the spirits. Since you're attending this evening, this message could be just for you. But for now, the spooky, the ghosts are coming in right now. My wife and I were living in a house in the country in the state of Alabama. We never considered the house to be haunted. One night, however, something came to call. It really was the proverbial dark and stormy night. We had learned that in the colder months, you could cut down heat loss through the windows by wrapping plastic sheeting around the screens. As we learned that night, putting the plastic on the screens outside made it vulnerable to winds. The wind was blowing very hard in gusts from all directions. It was causing the plastic to flap against the screens. The trees were swaying back and forth outside, causing shadows to move about the room. I was sleeping very fitfully. The sounds and the light variations had me edgy and kept entering my dreams as nightmares. I dreamt of someone standing over the bed and woke to see the light show and hear the noise, and it was hard to separate the dream from reality. I had several nightmares in succession, but eventually drifted off to an uneasy sleep. At one point in the night, I woke to the distinct feeling that something was hovering over my head. I opened my eyes and looked up into what can only be described as a green mist. It was a bit like being inside a tent with the walls glowing from the light outside. There was something descending from the mist, extended towards my head like tentacles. As I looked up into the thing, I said, rather calmly under the circumstances, "What the hell is that?" My wife rolled over, took one look, and screamed. She got out of bed, crashed out of the room, leaving me alone with this green thing. At this point, the image seemed to be fading, and then it was gone. In a few minutes, my wife came back, rather sheepishly, and soon she was rolling over and going back to sleep as though nothing had happened. I, on the other hand, wanted some answers. "Did you see it too?" I asked. "Yes," she mumbled. "What was it?" I asked her. "I don't know," she replied, "but it was green." That was enough to tell me that she really had seen the same thing. The next day, when she was more chatty, I got her to describe the shape, and it was identical to what I saw. She said it was a domed-shaped object and had tentacles that seemed to reach down to my head. Is it possible that in my fitful sleep, I managed to generate something? At the time, and for years afterwards, I thought of the green thing as some evil thing trying to attack me. But I suppose it's possible I created it from my nightmares. When my son was in 5th grade, he started talking about someone pulling his covers off his bed, following him to school, and snagging his clothes. And he became terrified of the basement. He was so scared, I didn't know what to do. I called our local paranormal group, and after an investigation in my home, we discovered 3 entities were residing there. The first was my grandfather, a prankster who adored my son. He was attached to the train table my son inherited from him. The second was a small child. We were stumped and then realized it was perhaps our second child whom we had lost. Both of those spirits were a joy and quickly moved on after a cleansing and firm boundaries were established. However, the third spirit was that of a grumpy former owner of our home. He was not easily swayed. We were intruding on his turf. We brokered a deal with him. He could stay, but had to stay in an unused room in the basement. He was not supposed to travel through the house. Every once in a while, he needs to be reminded of the rules. You see, if I'm up late alone, I would see him, the green man. He would walk up the stairs through my kitchen and down the hall towards the bedrooms, only to disappear into the mirror. I thought I was the only one to see him. Maybe it was my imagination. Until last year, my kids and I were reminiscing. My daughter told me that her friends would never sleep over because of that man in the closet. And my son said, yeah, the glowing green man is so creepy. I have had a variety of experiences over the years, but I wanted to share this one with you. My brother, who was then 5, and myself, then 8, were in my parents' bedroom on the upper level of our house. We were hanging out and reading, and my father was in the sitting area of the same room, watching a hockey game. The TV was facing away from my brother and me. It was just becoming dark out, and for some reason, I happened to look out the window. To my surprise, a greenish, glowing face was staring in the window at my brother and I. I can remember the face so vividly, it gives me the creeps right now. It was the face of a man, but seemed smaller than the normal size of a head. He had a very shortly trimmed beard and a close-cropped hairdo, like how you see Julius Caesar in the movies. Very ancient, Roman-looking. It was also just the head, no body or anything else. And it appeared to be in between the two panes of glass of the window. I nudged my brother, who looked and also saw the face, which we watched for about 20 minutes before it just kind of faded away. To this day, neither of us can explain it. There was nothing under the window that could have given anyone access to the second floor, and it could not have been a reflection of the TV or my dad. Whenever I tell the story, people giggle, until my brother tells them that he saw the same thing and can still describe the face accurately. Hello, my dear spooky friend. Do you have a paranormal experience you would like to share? Submit your ghost stories to be read on this podcast. I love sharing true ghost stories, and yours could be among them. Email me your story at speaknow@italktoghosts.com. Let's be spooky together. Hello and welcome back to I Talk to Ghosts. My guest this evening is Danielle. Danielle, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing tonight?
Thank you so much. I'm doing great.
Thank you so much for meeting with me. I do feel a lot of wonderful energy to get started. So I'm just going to dive right in.
Okay.
If that's okay. I do have my page of notes and first impressions. I am getting the impression you and your friend kind of being two peas in a pod together. And she wanted to thank you right away for being there for her, but she also kind of wanted to acknowledge that she wasn't always how did she put it? She says she had a hard time opening up sometimes, even to herself. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
I can see where that might be. Yeah. She had some blocks for sure.
Yeah. Like she didn't even want to see them.
Yeah. Like denial of some truths in her life.
Yes. Yes. And as human beings, it's remarkable how we can do that, even to ourselves. Those two things came in hand for me. Like, thank you for hearing me. Thank you for being there for me. But I also understand that I had a hard time with things sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay. She was showing me the moon.
We had a lot of experiences at night together.
That was the other thing. She was showing me nighttime more than daytime.
Yeah, when I think about her, I have so many memories, but when I think about her, those really special ones are adventures at night. Yeah, we grew up in a rural area together and spent a lot of time driving around trying to find things to do, like you do in small towns, and a lot of, we would go skinny dipping and we would go ghost hunting and go to visit graveyards at night and a lot of that.
She was showing me like skulls and skeletons. It didn't feel like a morbid thing. I was going to ask if both of you or her had just, a special place in your heart for Halloween.
Yeah, I think, I don't know about Halloween, but definitely creepy stuff. The creepy stuff. We loved it. That was a shared passion for sure.
Okay. A little bit gothy, a little bit.
Yeah. And she had a lot of tattoos. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some of that theme going on, although nothing's popping up to me.
Okay. Other things she was kind of showing me, it was like this layered cake of burdens, her biggest emotional heart, and then some drama in there. Like she was caught in between all of that.
Yeah, I think she wasn't a person that craved drama, but I think she had a really hard life, and that brought a lot of that.
Yeah. And sometimes it was external at, like couldn't avoid it type of thing, or just.
Yeah. Family stuff, relationship stuff.
Yes.
For sure. Very, very much so.
Yeah. It almost seems like drama for drama's sake sometimes. And it's just like,
yeah.
Oh, did she have a vein of creativity in her?
She loved music. I don't think of her as a person who created a lot, but just a passion for it, a real passion for it.
Because when we're talking about that, what she's saying is she really was drawn to interesting people. And with that came drama.
Yeah. And she had her most recent relationship, which was very difficult, was with a musician.
Okay.
So maybe there's something there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because she's like, it's hard to separate. Well, you know what they say, creativity is kind of close to madness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not necessarily to take that literally, but it's hard to find interesting people. You know what I mean? That's kind of how she was kind of seeing it now.
Wow. Yeah.
Did she have, now I'm getting into specifics, water bottle. Did she carry around a water bottle with her?
Yeah. So Beck thought everything was funny. And one of the times that I spent with her most recently, which was a few years ago, unfortunately, we went to church with my mom, and my mom packed everyone water bottles. And I remember her giggling about it and thinking it was strange. And I can totally see her, if she was with me, reminding me of that and still thinking it's hilarious. So I wonder if there's that, because that was a little weird. And I can see her thinking it was the funniest thing in the world. So.
Yeah. I love this example because that just really illustrates how much humor she had in her world. And she's also kind of acknowledging that she used it to deflect sometimes. Mm-hmm. It was a mechanism for her, but she also was a very jovial person. You know, you mentioned the car and driving. Definitely saw a car in there. There seemed to be a little bit of a issue with driving or not being able to.
Yeah, the last few years she did not drive. She had drinking issues, so she really wasn't steady enough to drive.
Oh yeah, that clicks into place for me with that. She also talked about difficult decisions, trying and not trying, finding it hard to move to extreme sides of things.
Yeah, I think near the end, I can see that, because it would have taken such an extreme change, and she wasn't able to get there. So maybe that's what that is about.
Yeah. She was showing me kind of makeup being a mess. And it seemed like there was a little bit of a joke in there somewhere, or...
I don't know. She was very silly, and she also would make jokes out of everything and bring them back year after year. So that could well be the case, and I would not even remember it.
Yeah.
Because she's a total goof in that way.
Yeah.
So she probably has 1,000 inside jokes that she's trying to tell you right now. And I'd be like, it sounds right, because she joked about everything.
Okay. She was showing me a bubblier side of her personality, and it did feel like she wanted to come in with a joke. But as I'm like leaning in, I'm like, okay, tell me the specifics. It was almost like how, so that's lovely that lines up. Okay. She was showing me that she didn't have the best relationship with her family. She's kind of pointing to her grandfather a little bit.
That could well be so. She had a very, very close relationship with her grandmother, and I remember her grandfather as kind of a scary person. I don't know that she would have shared all those details with me, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Right. She's like, shh. We don't have to talk about that now. Let me see if she wants to share anything else with me, because those were my initial impressions. She's just kind of saying that Life kind of felt like she was constantly fighting it off with a stick, like, okay, this now and this, and like whack-a-mole.
Yeah, that sounds right. It was one thing after another.
Yeah, she just really wants to say that you're a gem and that your friendship was just such a bright light for her.
I love that. Thank you. I wish she knew how much she left behind.
She's still with you. Do you talk to her?
Yes.
Yeah. And she thinks you're capable of anything and to live the life that you dream of, and that you're special. You're absolutely special, and she cherishes you. She really does. I think she wanted to come in with a joke because she does want you to know that she's okay. When we pass on, so much of this world just kind of falls away for us, and we have a perspective that we couldn't quite reach in life, if that makes sense.
That's very comforting.
Was she good with animals? Like, was she more comfortable with animals than people?
Yeah, she loved them and she was great with them.
Yeah, she's almost like a Snow White.
Yeah. Yeah, everything except small dogs. She didn't like small dogs.
Yeah, because she's showing me a lot of comfort in that. It was almost like her sanctuary was being able to relate with animals. And, she was very nurturing, and those were trustful relationships.
Yeah. Safe.
Yeah. Right? Because animals, like children, the more you love them, the more they thrive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she does have a couple messages for you.
Okay.
She says, lean into your relationships, and that you're creating your life, you're creating something that's going to carry forward, kind of through time. And that's important. And to focus on the right things and to go forward with passion with that. Does that resonate for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for meeting with me.
Thank you.
Sounds like wonderful friendship. I can tell how much love is in between you two. And that's just wonderful to witness. And so thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Before we go, do you have a personal ghost story that you would like to share?
I do.
Listener ghost story.
I grew up in the Northeast in New England and lived in really old houses. And I never experienced anything at all spooky in these houses. But then I moved to Southern California, and I'm in a building that was built in 1995, and it's haunted, or has been. So
go figure.
Yeah, my husband and I moved here in 2011, and there was always lots of little creaks and kind of things moving around. And he's a complete skeptic, doesn't believe in any of that. And we have cats, so it's easy to attribute that to the cats. But after me telling him over and over again, this is weird stuff that's going on, and even struggling to sleep some nights. One night he was walking from the living room to our bedroom and went past the kitchen, and all of the cupboard doors slammed shut simultaneously. Can't explain it. He can't explain it. Still says there's no way it's haunted, but all of the cupboards shut at the same time. And after that, I had another experience that was the most disturbing to me. And I was in my home office, and I heard a noise in our living room. And in our living room, there was an armchair that faced kind of in toward the conversation area where the coffee table and the sectional sofa were. And it had a little pillow on it. And I hear this noise. I'm alone in the house, except for the cats. And the armchair had been picked up and moved. So it was facing the front door, which had just a security door on it, but it was locked. So you could look outside and see the ocean. It's beautiful. And it had moved probably 6 feet and changed in orientation, so it was facing out the front door. And the pillow that was on it was still on it. I have no explanation. Probably within the year, everything stopped. So we had maybe 2 or 3 years when there was these little things happening, and I'm not sure what was here, but it
Mhm.
has certainly moved on. It's been years now since I've experienced that. But that
Wow.
was definitely a little frightening to walk out to, and I still can't explain it. I'm assuming it's ghosts.
Right. And there you were by yourself too,
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So I'm glad whatever has moved on, but it was definitely spooky.
Wow. That's an amazing set of little stories. Very spooky.
Yes.
Very spooky. Wow. Well, thank you so much again for everything. It is just lovely to know you.
You too. Thank you so much.
Would you like a free spirit reading with me and record your reading for the podcast? Sign up for your chance to be selected by visiting italktoghosts.com/guest. And as an added bonus, if you don't want to leave your reading up to chance, I'll let you in on a secret. There's a discount offer to book a private session with me, so you can book a date and time for certain. Visit italktoghosts.com/guest for more details. I can't wait to meet you. Hello and welcome back to I Talk to Ghosts. I have a message from the spirits this evening, so thank you for joining me around my little seance table. So with me tonight, I have someone's wife is coming through. She loved you so much throughout the years, and you loved her back. You guys had that magnetic connection that was just undeniable, and everyone saw it in you. Everyone absolutely did. And she's showing me that you owned a sailboat together, and that you absolutely loved just sailing around the water and being out there in the sunshine and the sea air. And it was just a big passion that you two shared together, and that's really lovely. Is there such thing as a skipperjack or something like that? I'll have to look that up, but that's kind of what I'm hearing. And her message for you this evening is that she sees you being a little bit more reclusive than you used to be after her death, that you've become a little bit withdrawn, and she knows within you there is still so much drive and so many ideas and things that you would like to do. She just wants to gently encourage you and remind you of that aspect of yourself. I also feel the need to pull a tarot card. 10 of Cups. I'm not surprised to see this card because she's also mentioning your family and grandchildren. It's just this force of loving energy, and she's suggesting that you tap into that a little bit. The vibrancy of youth can be contagious, so make sure you make yourself available to the rest of your family and have a couple outings, have a couple picnics, be outdoors, and just enjoy that family connection. I think I'm going to leave it at that. So if this message connects for you, please reach out because I would love to know. Thank you. Listen to I Talk to Ghosts for an atmospheric chill and to never feel alone, knowing the spirits are always around you. The autumn months are the perfect time to share and recommend this podcast to your ghoulish friends. Thank you for supporting the show and sharing the spooky. And with that, dear listener, we've reached the end of this episode of I Talk to Ghosts. I hope you've enjoyed these spooky tales that I've shared with you this evening. Do you have a similar story of your own? I would love to hear about it. In the meantime, wherever you wander off to in this world or the next, just remember, come back and visit with me. Have a lovely evening and good night.